Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Maresha Owiti. President William Ruto has this morning launched a national conversation on Kenya's long-term development agenda beyond the expiry of Vision 2030. The initiative, dubbed Beyond Vision 2030, seeks to lay the foundation for an ambitious long-term blueprint that will shape the country's development priorities beyond 2030. The proposed framework will focus on key areas considered critical to Kenya's economic and social transformation. And now we cross over to the KICC, where the conversation continues ongoing.
What time you're leaving the house, what time you're coming back home, who you need to share your details with in terms of where you're going. You're taking the number plate of the Uber you're riding on. You're being harassed at the Matatu sector. And why I'm saying that is because when you look at the informal economy, and we are trying to talk about investing in the informal economy, if a woman has to negotiate with what time they leave the house, I'll talk briefly, Mark, about my own mother who runs a grocery shop. Yeah, my own mother will leave the house at 6 and not at 5 a.m. because her leaving at 5 a.m. means she not only risks being robbed, but she also risks being raped. Not many men think about being raped at 5 a.m. My own mother who runs a grocery shop. Yeah, my own mother will leave the house at 6 and not at 5 a.m. because her leaving at 5 a.m. means she not only risks being robbed, but she also risks being raped. Not many men think about being raped at 5 a.m. And at 5 a.m., I'll tell you the truth, transport from Kayole to Marikiti is cheaper than taking Matatu at 6 a.m. when it's 100. If you take it at 5, it's about 50 shillings. And so she's losing money in terms of capital because of safety, yeah? And so when we don't integrate that, when I think about care work, and we've done research in this country, women spend about 4 to 6 hours on care work. And care work is the bedrock, it's the foundation of how this country runs when it comes to economic development. Who takes care of our children, who feeds our children. Most of us are here because someone is managing most of those details at home. I'm comfortable here because someone is taking care of my son at home, yeah? And so when we talk about development and don't expand it in terms of how can we reduce the amount of time women spend on care work, especially if we say they are the backbone of our economy. And so when I look at, Kenya at 100, and you ask me a question about, yes, running for office and where we are going to. When I look at even the representation of women and young people in this country, when we go down to the numbers and say, are young people represented, are young people included, what does data show us? If you look at the 2022 statistics, the numbers in 2022, we had 16,100 candidates on the ballot, from the presidency all the way to the member of county assembly, whether you are running in whichever political party or you are running as an independent candidate. 14,000 were men, only 2,000 were women. So if we talk about even achieving the 2/3 gender rule, it means even if the 2,000 women, all of them won, we still would not have achieved the 2/3 gender principle. And so then that begs the question, what are some of the structural issues that we continuously need to deal with so that we level the playing field for both women and young people? Because if we don't have representation when it comes to Kenya at 100, then it means the future we are building is incomplete because it leaves half the population out. And so for me, I'm reflecting on how we're looking at development in terms of what we are building, but also how do we expand people's freedoms and capabilities. Lastly, we talk about agriculture. I'm just going by also what other speakers have spoken about. We talk about agriculture, we talk about building more classrooms.
Of course, that is coming from the KICC, where the proceedings of the rollout for Vision 2060 are happening, and we're on ground to bring you more details as that continues. Moving on.